Hello, hi, how's it going? I hope you're all well and rested after a turbulent Saturday night, maybe, or maybe a calm and peaceful Saturday night. Well, however your Saturday night ended up, I just want to share this moment of Zen with you. And I'm going to let you listen to the bird call and watch the gently rippling lagoon for a little while people file in. Here we go. Hey, Des. Focus. This camera's crap. Honestly, a Google Pixel go on about how amazing their cameras are. Look at this, it just keeps going out of focus. Oh, mate, why are you so shit? Yeah, I've got a question for you, Google. Why are you so shit? Sorry about that. I was messing around on my laptop and I didn't notice that the picture had gone out of focus. Never happened with a Samsung. Just saying, Google. Never happened with a Samsung. You just stare out into the water for hours on end, and it would always stay happily focused on the green hills in the far yonder. Anyway, so where's your Labrador worker? What's a Labrador worker? I've not been to Labrador. I've been to Newfoundland. And that's how I know to pronounce it Newfoundland instead of Newfoundland. If someone's not from there, they might call it Newfoundland. That's not what they call it. It's like if you've been to Melbourne or you've lived in Melbourne, you know to call it Melbourne and not Melbourne. And if you say Melbourne, you sound a bit like you'll say Edinburgh instead of Edinburgh. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have the local knowledge. Again, something that I don't think AI will ever get its head around. Anyway, it's a beautiful day out here on the archipelago. The birds are calling each other. Um, Beautiful scenes. I think I'll get up early tomorrow, maybe, if it's nice, and I'll just record the sounds, for like an ASMR video. If I can suss out how to stop my phone from defocusing. But apples for me. Apples. So a big hi to Diz and Alex and SG and Billy and Russ and Stephen and Billy in the chat. I'm sorry, my glasses are steaming up here. It's a bit hot. It's only 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a bit hot. I think it's going to be a scorchio today. I have got my super chat, my backwards. So this is backwards, you see. It's backwards. But on the camera it looks like it's forwards. So I have brought that today. So if anyone wants to drop a super chat in, I will be able to do my super chat dance. Can we call it? It's not a dance, is it? My super chat thing. But today I wanted to talk about an interesting article I was reading this morning, sent to me by my mate Doug, from the New York Times, and it was highlighting the really quite disturbing parallels, and also I say disturbing, but also quite hilarious parallels between the attack on Iran, which started just over a week ago, with Israel and the US, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I've got some quotes for you. It's kind of crazy, you know. Um, so yeah, before I get in that, the drone that hit the UK's airspace in Cyprus was equipped with Russian military hardware. It contained Russian-made Cometa B navigation system, previously seen in drones shot down by Ukraine. The components have been sent to a UK laboratory for investigation after the UK ruled out Iran as the launch source. after the UK ruled out Iran. So they don't think that drone was Iranian. They think it was Russian. I mean, they could be sharing their military hardware. Obviously, that could be something that they're doing. But yeah, oh my God, what a time to be alive. Hello, says Gallifreyman. Hello. So yeah, so you've got these two conflicts, right? Both started by narcissistic fucking lunatics, people with malignant narcissistic syndrome, and yeah, we've got these vaguely defined, open-ended conflicts with similar, unclear objectives. Russia invading Ukraine, the US bombing, bombing Iran. Both governments came out of the gates straight away. Straight away, as soon as the war started in Iran or in Ukraine, both governments said they didn't start the war, but they're going to finish it. Both of them said that a couple of days after the relative conflicts started. US Secretary Pete Hegseth there, wading in for the US, saying, we didn't start this war, we are finishing it. And Vladimir Putin used nearly identical wording, except in Russian, back in 2022. Both governments have also avoided calling their actions war. They haven't used the W word. The US leaders describe the operations against Iran as a military operation. What, you mean like a special military operation? That could be quite interesting, couldn't it? A special military operation. And both leaders have framed the conflict as it's been forced upon them. They had no choice. They really had no choice. They had no choice, They didn't start the wars. They had no choice. Ishmael's taking the Jinja out. That's our little boat. We've got a new panga. And Ishmael's going to get some fuel and the sander that we need for the boards that we put down in the house yesterday. We need a sander. So we're going to get that. And wheelbarrow. We need a wheelbarrow. Don't forget the wheelbarrow. Okay. Hey. Wait up. All right, hello. Thank you for everyone saying hey, Ishmael. You don't need the H. You don't need the H in Spanish. It's automatically got a sh sound. It's just ISMAEL. Call him Ishmael. What else have we got here? I'm just going to read through. The drone was launched from Lebanon. Oh, wow. Everybody knows special military operations wrap up in a few days. Yep, 3-day military operation it was. Looks fun, says Alex. Yeah, it is. Not war though. Certainly not fun. It's fun watching these dickheads who have gone over to Dubai to make propaganda for these governments in the Gulf countries, across the Arabian Peninsula. Make propaganda. A lot of them as well. They're like racist little fuckwits. They're like Islamophobes. They're like Islamophobes who go to an Islamic country and take money off Muslims to promote their Muslim country, to promote more people to go over from the UK or the US or Australia or whatever, to go to these Muslim countries. And you're like, well, but I thought you didn't like Muslims. Okay, so you just dedicated your life to promoting people to go to a country where they have Sharia law, where everything's halal. You have the call to prayer in the morning. Things that you don't want in the UK. So you've gone somewhere else to get them somewhere else, right? Seems mad. My glasses keep steaming up. I don't really know what to do about this because when my glasses steam up, I can't actually see the screen. Can't read your messages. Ed Miliband. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, what's that? Doesn't Diz? What did Ed Miliband do? I don't know. I haven't seen that in the news. See, the problem is as well when I'm out here. Not that I have 99 problems, but when I look up the news, the BBC website automatically goes to the international edition that has adverts on and stuff. So if something's happened sort of domestically in the UK, it might be like right down. Reply to Simon. Oh, I've done that thing again where I've got the chat on. Hang on. I've got the chat on top chat rather than live chat. Sorry. My glasses are steaming up. Oh, what can I do about my glasses steaming up? Has anyone got any solutions to glasses steaming up in the tropics? That's what you get for being 9 degrees. That's north of the equator. So we were talking about the equinox the other day. And I was like, I don't understand how it could possibly be 12 hours and 12 hours in the Arctic and on the equator. Well, it's not. In fact, at the Arctic and the Antarctic, basically, either the sun finally sets or the sun finally rises. And you have 6 months. So there you go. Top tip, if you are observing Ramadan, don't hang out in the Arctic, because the day might end up lasting about 6 months. Preheat the glasses. Well, I tried that. I don't really understand. I don't understand why they're steaming up so badly. I don't know if I've had this problem before with glasses. Maybe it's because these glasses are old man glasses. They're bifocals or varifocals. Don't like all these people coming in boats. They're drinking all our water. Anyway, let's have a look what was written about Miliband. Several interesting newspaper articles saying heating oil prices going through the roof. No shit, Sherlock. GB News blames Ed Miliband, of course. Oh, I get it. So, sorry, Diz. Because I saw that, I didn't know the context of it. A bit like AI. And I just assumed that you were saying, what the fuck, Ed Miliband? What have you done? You daft twat. But actually, you were saying they're blaming Ed Miliband for the fact that the oil companies of the world, like America and Saudi Arabia and Russia, are all fighting each other, and that makes the price of fucking oil go up. Yeah, funny that. If only we had energy self-sufficiency. Anyway, so Iran has obviously not been a great place politically for a long time. The people are lovely, and I'll defend the people of Iran all the way. They're the nicest people you'll ever hope to meet. It's just that the government's a bit shit. But Trump framing Iran as like a regime responsible for decades of violence and mass murder. I mean, yeah, maybe for actually Iran itself and the Iranians, but I don't think there's been the kind of the shock to Western countries that we had emanating from not Iran but Saudi Arabia for many years. Don't forget, Bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia. His funding came from Saudi Arabia. The reason why he could get away with doing what he was doing, attacking the USS Cole and the attack on the World Trade Center, the reason he could do that was because he had shitloads of money. He had shitloads of money because he was a Saudi Nepo baby. And then he had his training camps in Afghanistan, which isn't Iran. They eventually executed him in an operation, or assassinated him in an operation in Pakistan, not in Iran. It wasn't Iran sheltering him. So, yeah, you can argue that Iran has been secretly helping Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis for a long time. But then you could also argue that, well, Saudi Arabia has been helping forces on the other side. Don't forget, Saudi Arabia spends a lot of money in sort of outreach in other countries. You know the way America sends missionaries out still to places like this in Panama to spread the word of Jesus Christi. What's his name? Jesus, and Jesus Christ. And they do the same thing. They have these madrasa schools, and it's paid for often by Saudi Arabia, by the government of Saudi Arabia, because they've got more money than sense. And they have these madrasa schools across the Muslim world, and in a lot of them, and some of them are fine, but a lot of them, they are places where you have to memorize the Quran, and then once you memorize the Quran, you graduate. So you get these kids leaving these madrasas without no skills, no knowledge about the world or how anything works, but they really know their Quran. Okay, cool. And that's sort of translated in places like Afghanistan and Pakistan and across the Middle East. I don't think they have any schools in Iran, by the way, but that's because of the religious schism between the two. It's caused young men to decide that they were going to become, extremists, and there's nothing else to fall back on. So yeah, when it comes to the justification of bombing Iran, okay, here's one for you. Iran supplies Russia with drones, which they're using to kill European citizens in Ukraine. That's a good reason, isn't it? That's a good reason. Here's the question. Why not Russia? By that I mean, why take out the suppliers when you can actually take out the people who are actually doing it? The people who are actually firing those drones into Europe and murdering European citizens. So even that doesn't really work as a justification. And the parallel here with Trump saying that Iran is a regime responsible for decades of violence and mass murder. Well, Putin framed Ukraine and the West as threatening Russia by expanding NATO, or potentially expanding NATO, forcing Moscow to act. We had no choice. Just like Trump said, we have no choice. Both speeches, Trump's and Putin's, in the wake of them invading someone else's country, emphasised long-standing grievances, claimed that the enemy itself was responsible for any bloodshed, and it also urged soldiers to lay down their weapons or face destruction. That was something that was said last week. Lay down your weapons, the Americans said, or face destruction. Almost word for word, obviously translated into Russian, what the Russian government said in the end of February of 2022. Crazy, isn't it? In local news, Durham County Council's deputy reform leader, Darren Grimes, has admitted a photograph on his council blog was an AI fake. Yeah. Well, he's an AI fake, isn't he? He's a twat. Crafty Wang. Can we call him crafty? Can we call him crafty? So yeah. Trump has also called on the people of Iran and soldiers, citizens and soldiers, to rise up and overthrow their tyrannical government. Putin made almost the exact same plea to Ukrainian soldiers and to citizens to overthrow their leadership in February 2022. Both wars initially appeared to rely on rapid regime collapse rather than long-term military occupation. Both campaigns are absolutely full of overconfidence, and they both started with an expectation of quick victory, which did not materialize. Russia believed that Ukraine would collapse quickly. Officers, they packed the officers, the Russian officers, right? This is true. When they started the invasion of Ukraine, they were told to pack their dress uniform for the victory parade in Kyiv, which would be only a few days away. They were told to pack their dress uniforms. Is that the maddest thing? Yeah, probably. Russian leadership just assumed that the Ukrainian government would fall. And do you know what that is to me? It reminds me a little bit of, like, You know when someone, Trump does this all the time, you know, like accuses your enemy of that of which you are guilty. But also, when you're given a situation and someone would act, someone who's a bit of a cock, right, would act badly in that situation, they tend to assume that you would too. Have you noticed this, right? So, for instance, they'll assume that if you found the wallet, you would steal the money out of it. Whereas I wouldn't. I'll take it to the police station and make sure it got back to its owner. Like, I had no interest. Even had loads of money in it. It's not my money. I wouldn't take it. But for the person who would take it, they couldn't imagine. They could not even begin to imagine the idea that you, not them, you would find that wallet with loads of money in it and not take the money because they would. It's the same in relationships. People who talk about like that they constantly accuse their partner of cheating on them, of having an affair, and often, not always, but often, it's because the person who is accusing the person of having an affair. I mean, if they're an innocent party, I'm not saying that they actually are having an affair, but you know, if they're innocent, because they can't imagine in the same situation they wouldn't, you know, given the opportunity. Oh yeah, I'll be off and doing all kinds of stuff, and that sort of failure of imagination to understand that other people will not react in the same situations as you would. You can transliterate that. That's not the right word, is it? You can translate that into what the Americans and the Russians think, the way that they think as a sort of, you know, the political collective of these countries, is that well, they would do that to us. So this means that in the in Iran, in Russia, for instance, I think they know, well, Putin knows that his grip on power is actually quite precarious. He kills anyone who comes near him. He surrounds himself with incompetence, right? And he knows that if there was an uprising, he wouldn't stand a fucking chance. He would not stand a chance. His only hope is to keep the Russian people in line with propaganda and a big stick, rather than, you know, give people free and fair elections or whatever, because he knows he'll be out on his ear, or if you allow them to have a revolution. So he can't envisage, because of his mentality, he can't envisage somewhere where the people of the country will rally around the leader, because they wouldn't rally around him in a similar situation. In a similar situation, they wouldn't rally around him. And Trump probably thinks the same way. Trump is the most unpopular leader in world history. In world history. Not his own country, but everywhere else. But yeah, so they assumed, the Russians assumed when they went into Ukraine, that the leadership would fall. They assumed that the leadership of Ukraine was just as corrupt as the leadership of Russia, and that they could be bribed, and that they go, you go, have some money, and then you fuck off. It's the same mentality that you'll see with America, its attitude towards Greenland. We'll give them some money, and then they won't want to be Danish anymore. They want to be ruled by America. But give them some money, and then they'll want to be American. No, you might be that, you know, easily swayed to give up your nationality, but the people of Greenland, no, they do not want to be American. They might want to be independent, but they said they don't want to be fucking American. Who would want to be American days? Jesus Christ. And this belief that the regime would just fall as a result of the shock and awe campaign. Which one am I talking about when I say that? Because you could be talking about Ukraine, you could be talking about Iran. They assumed that the regime would collapse within a couple of days as a result of being attacked. As a result of them going in and killing loads of people, either from the sky or just, you know, on the ground. Both times they assumed there'll be a short, decisive campaign. There ain't gonna be. I'll tell you that now. The fallout from what Trump has done here will be measured not in years but in decades. The only hope I've got really is that, first of all, this is going to accelerate, I think, the current gulf between the younger generation coming up and experiencing all this shit that's going on, that's being foisted on them by older generations. And it's going to make people want to actually have decent leaders in place rather than a leader that makes you feel good about yourself because you're a horrible person and they're a horrible person. Country loves fucking company. But yeah, the Russian commentators are already joking about Tehran in 3 days. They're saying Tehran in 3 days, which is linked to that whole, Kyiv in 3 days. They thought it was going to 3 day special military special military operation. Uh, yeah, so here we are a week later, and it doesn't look like the Iranian regime is coming close to surrender anytime soon. And here's a question for you: who the fuck do they surrender to? Like, what's the logistics behind this? And this is why I hate that 12-year-olds like rule everywhere. Everyone on the internet is 12 because they'll come up with big ideas, right? Usually stupid ideas. So let's just say they'll come up with stupid ideas. And you go, but how are you going to do it? What's the objective? What are you trying to do? What's your path to doing this? And they don't workshop it. They never like go through it. It's probably like a bit like Labour, isn't it? They never go, hang on, what are all the possible consequences of us doing this? How are we going to do this thing? How are we going to achieve it? I go back to what I said the other day about I don't really care about people robbing not robbing my ideas, but I don't really care that people see what I do and then try and ape it, or they take an idea that I've had and try and do it themselves, because I've got more ideas, so it doesn't bother me that much. But also, I don't think they're going to do it as well as I did, because when I came up with the idea, it wasn't just the idea. I actually had the mechanics behind it of how to do it, of how to, if I had the time, if I had the money, these things could actually happen. Sometimes they do. Hence, Private Island. Well, it turns out the US did a double tap attack just as emergency responders were arriving at the girls' elementary school. This is what Russians do routinely in Ukraine. Yeah, over 170 people were killed in that attack on a girls' school in Iran. I mean, imagine that just happens in the UK or it happens in the US or somewhere. Would you take it lying down? Would it make you go, oh, we're gonna give more weapons? But going back to the surrender thing, who surrender to who? Who are you going to surrender to? So, okay, I'm an Iranian soldier. All right. I want to surrender. Okay, what'd you do? Where'd you go? Did you go to the U.S. Embassy in Tehran? There isn't one. Where'd you go? What'd you do? I mean, what's the practical way that you? Okay, you're telling people to surrender. Surrender to who? How? Don't tell people what to do if there's actually no realistic way of them doing it. Like, the thing that you're asking them to do is impossible. They cannot do it. So you do know who surrounds Iran, right? You know that one side it's Turkmenistan and Afghanistan and Pakistan, and the other side it's Iraq mostly. You do know that, right? Where are they supposed to go? They go to Pakistan? Walk? Do you know how big Iran is? It's 3 times the size of Ukraine. It's fucking huge. They're supposed to get there. You got these dickhead influencers who can't even fucking suss out to get on a bus out of fucking Dubai. The daily bus that goes to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. They can't suss out how to do it. Oh, I need a private jet to fly me out. And the British government's got to pay for the private jet. Fuck that shit. Get on a bus to Riyadh. Change buses at Riyadh. Get to fucking Jeddah. Right? It's an overnight bus. Don't worry about it. Just sleep on the bus. It's fine. Or you can stay awake all night. I don't care. Watch movies on your fucking expensive laptop, your gold-plated laptop. That's exactly the same as my laptop, except it's gold-plated. And get to Jeddah, hitch a ride on a fucking cargo ship. You pay them. It's $100 a night. It's cheap. Or from Jeddah, you could easily get up to Aqaba in Jordan. You can fly out of Jordan. Their airspace is still open if you want, but otherwise you go to Aqaba and get the daily ferry across to Dahab in Egypt, and then there's a bus. There's a daily bus from Dahab that'll take you to Cairo, and then when you get to Cairo, go to Port Said or Sayad. Port Said. I don't know, whatever it's called. Anyway, get on there's a daily ferry. There's a ferry. I think there's one that goes to Cyprus these days, but they just got hit. So maybe take that up to Skanderun in Turkey. Actually, I think there's a ferry that just goes up to the middle, the bottom middle of Turkey. Then from there you get. It's really simple to get to Istanbul. You just get on the bus with Istanbul on the front of it, and from there you can fly. You fly out of Egypt if you want. That's fine. Go fly out of fucking Sharm el Sheikh. Go to Sharm el Sheikh. You know you like it there. It's a big horrible concrete resort thing, and then fly out of there. Get an easy jet. Cost you 70 quid. Yeah, I've got no money. I can't fly bus. Dickheads everywhere. The problem with illegal wars, you. Problem with illegal wars, you are ignore not just the laws of war, but the laws of physics. A tendency that to protect your own immortality, I call prevenge or basically evil. Yeah, yeah. Not only did the US pair its own intelligence bomb the girls through primary school, they bombed it twice. It's a war crime. Absolutely, it's a war crime. Merton Ward, Durham Labour, they beat in County Durham. They beat. There was a council by-election, and Labour won against Refuck. Because I think Refuck have hit their peak. To be honest with you, they just don't have any solutions. So all they do is whinge about stuff. 12-year-olds here all share one brain cell and go to prison. Yeah, Greenland should join up with Canada with the Danes backdoor into EU. Yeah. I've got chat, but a buffering Graham. Oh no, damn it! Sorry about that. Restarted. It's better. Sorry if you missed a bit there. I woke up with a horrendous pain in my knee and ankle. Says Pete. Full on arthritis flare up. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete. Brutal. Load on a wave of pain meds. Wait for them to kick in. In the meantime, just got to tough it out. I'm sorry to hear that, Pete. That's really shit. I'm sorry, mate. So yeah, but going back to these similarities between what America's doing in Iran right now and what Russia did in Ukraine. I mean, I know there's, I know there's, it's early days, isn't it? It's early days, you could say, but Tehran in 3 days didn't happen. Didn't happen. The lessons that we should take from the Ukrainian war, and Trump clearly does not know history. Trump just has no fucking clue about history. He doesn't. I don't even think he knows what happened the day before. I'll tell you what else. We're talking about patterns here and similarities between these two conflicts. Every time Trump writes a screed against the UK and the Prime Minister Keir Starmer, it's always after he's had a meeting. It's always after he's had a meeting with Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage, Grima fucking worm tongue, the blob-faced, bollock-faced fucking. He looks like a. Oh, he looks like a fucking particularly mangled scrotum. He's so fucking ugly. Anyway, he basically goes out there like Lord fucking Haw and tells this guy is like, he's quite powerful, isn't he? The president of the United States, or so I'm told. Tells him to be horrible to Britain. He went there a while ago and said that because we're too woke, we deserve to have sanctions put on us. We should have more sanctions. We should have more tariffs. Put more tariffs on the UK, he said. That's what he did. He did that. What an absolute shitbag. So yeah, Russia's invasion 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Turned into a long, costly conflict lasting years. And Ukraine continued fighting with Western support and advanced weaponry. Russia eventually scaled down its goals, focusing on the territory in eastern Ukraine instead of full regime change, is what they said they wanted at the start. And the wars resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths. We think the Russian military alone has seen over 500,000 people die. 500,000 people die. That's more than the population of Liverpool. That's like every single person in Liverpool dead. Door to door, all the way from Garston up to Bootle. Just everyone dead. Everybody's dead, Dave. Dave, everyone is dead. It's unbelievable. The numbers are absolutely shocking. And yeah, no decisive victory for the Russians. None. Nothing. And I know that, like I say, the war in Iran is only a week old, but there's there's no evidence that Iranian forces are surrendering, none at all. The regime remains under the regime remains in control of the country, you know, and the US goals, just like the Russian goals in Ukraine, are just unclear and shifting. If you ever seen if you ever watched the Adam Curtis documentaries, you know the one that he did as a short for Charlie Brooker on his I think it was like yearly wipe or whatever, and back when he did them, and he talks about this guy who worked for Vladimir Putin, who basically knew the best way to control people is to confuse them and just give them different narratives, and just one day when it's sunny, tell everyone it's raining, and the next day when it's raining, tell everyone it's sunny. Tell everyone that you know, Refuck are doing this as well. Have you seen how Refuck are like, we should get rid of the two-child benefit cap, and then they get rid of it, and they go, oh, no, we don't want you to get rid of the two-child benefit cap. And you're like, but you said that you did. No, we didn't, Snap. Because it's gaslighting on an epic scale. There needs to have it needs to have a term. I feel like there needs to be a term for this, where you gaslight not just entire populations but the entire world by just a constant state of confusion of like, what is actually the aim here? What actually do you want to achieve? Why did you do this? What are the reasons? How well are you doing? It's lie and contradict themselves all the time. And the people who love it, these horrible mealy-mouthed dickheads who think, you know, Trump's, you know, he's got the right idea, hasn't he? They love it because it's what they would do. Given the same, you know, upbringing, the same chances in life. We were talking yesterday about, the day before, about luck, weren't we? And someone said about J.K. Rowling and that, you know, they don't appreciate the luck. And I said, well, you know, I think they did make their own luck. And I was thinking about that afterwards. I thought, well, actually, yeah, you're right. They were lucky. They have been lucky, but they don't appreciate how lucky they are. And I think part of being lucky should and really must include the fact that you acknowledge that you are lucky. And it's something rich people hate doing. Rich people hate paying tax. They hate not taking drugs. They hate not being able to beat their servants. They hate anyone else doing well. They hate that. Even in their own cohort, they hate it. And yeah, they really hate admitting that they need society. That taxation isn't theft. It's necessary for a healthy society to thrive. And yeah, they will never admit that they were lucky. They honestly believe that they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. They will never admit luck, whereas I will. I'll admit loads of luck. Okay, where are we? Ren appreciated. We played to scrambled eggs and cheese. Ooh, nice. Even LBC Radio seems to be turning against Frogage. Now, just Nigel Farage, Nick Ferrari, privately educated, of course, seems to be backing the twat. The ones that come back get sent back somehow. I saw C4 handcuffed a working class guy. CH4 handcuffed a working class guy with a complete toff. Looks good. He put the toff on his place, and apparently the subject of Farage came up. I've seen estimates that the fatalities are higher than 500,000 and closer to 1 million. Well, we don't know. That's the thing. We know the Ukrainian numbers, but we don't really have a clue about the Russian numbers because they just lie, don't they? We just try and read between the lines. Liquefied into a cocoon. That's nice. I just watched the highlights of the Bristol counter-protest yesterday. Great to see so many standing up to the fash. Yeah, that's cool. So that Gogglebox, do you know what happened episode it is? The guy went full on. That's good. Good. So you get handcuffed to a toff. Oh God, I personally couldn't think of anything worse. So yeah, like I say, the it's only a weekend, right? But whatever Trump is trying to do, and his objectives change all the time. Some officials, they say they want to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons program, but we were told that was destroyed last summer. So who's lying? Some are calling for unconditional surrender, which you're never going to get, especially by bombing people. If you want unconditional hatred of your country forever, yeah, bomb someone else's country. Good job. That's the unconditional bit. Trump has threatened complete destruction. Complete destruction, he said, of certain areas. How's he going to achieve that? How the fuck? I mean, I do think that the point where if he does dare drop a nuclear bomb on Iran, that's the point when I would hope the American people would see sense and finally take him out. I mean, how? Like I say, it's a massive fucking country. It's a huge country. Complete destruction, Donald Trump has said. And the US and military, the US and Israeli, campaigns are technically more advanced than Russia's invasion of Ukraine, clearly. However, we see time and time again that military power alone cannot guarantee success without clear political goals. It's as simple as that. What is the political goal? If there was Navalny, a leader in waiting in the wings, and you could back their side of it, then yeah, fine. You think about the Mujahideen in the 1980s, they were supported by America and they toppled the Soviet invasion, the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan. Yeah, okay, cool. Do it that way. Why get rid of the Ayatollah? I kind of get a little bit antsy when people go, when Mugabe dies, or when Idi Amin dies, or when Gaddafi dies, he'll just be replaced by another person who's exactly the same as it. And in some situations, that is fair, that is true, but it depends on how it all goes down. If Gaddafi is taken down by his own people, then the person who replaces Gaddafi is not going to be his son, or it's not going to be someone in Gaddafi's orbit. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be someone completely different. Whereas in North Korea, obviously whoever takes over from Kim Jong-un when he dies is going to be Kim Jong-un's son, his unsung hero. That's just the way it is. So in Iran, it's more of the latter type of regime, because you take out the Ayatollah, who's going to take over? The son of the Ayatollah, yay! And it's like, oh, we'll kill him as well. Okay, cool. We've got another one. It's all right. Got another one. We've got loads of Ayatollahs, mate. You're not going to take them all out. And even if we do, we can make some more. They're like mules. You can kill all the mules on the planet. Slaughter them wholesale. You'll still get mules. Think about it. T-1000. Yeah, it sounds confusing. Yeah. Iran are just 10 minutes from making that bomb for the last 30 years. Yeah, Liam, according to Benjamin Netanyahu, fucking wanted war criminal, fucking gobshite of the parish. The guy who has done more to further anti-Semitism than any man since Adolf Hitler. I mean, that's not kind of accolade that I'd like to be walking around with if I was him. I'll be keeping my head down. But he can't keep his head down because he get thrown in jail. He's doing all this to stay out of jail. Trump is doing all this to stay out of jail. The lengths these men will go to keep their fucking worthless hides out of jail. Hi, Diz. Most have been eating and sleeping, says person impersonator. He had a bath, now loaned him my Chromebook for entertainment. He's a little delusional, but not aggressive, so as well as it could be. Okay. I'm glad to take care of them. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to have heard the whole sorry saga, says Diz. Is that a reverse Star Wars t-shirt? No, that's the thing, Al. Because I'm on my phone, it mirrors the screen, so everything. This is why when you watch videos on what's it called, on TikTok, they show you a book. They go, I'm reading this book, and it's all backwards. So my Star Wars t-shirt is backwards for you, right? But this is forwards. Do you see? Because this is actually written backwards. If I showed this on the other camera, I don't know if I can just switch this around. This is a forward-facing camera. Is that going to work? You can see. Can you see it's a super chat? It's not focusing very well. God, why do you focus? Yeah, can you see? Can you see it's backwards? Yeah? Oh, had fun making this. But yeah, so no, it's a backwards Star Wars. It's a forwards back. It's a forward Star Wars t-shirt, but it's reflected because this is the mode that my phone is set to. 100% Graham says this. Thank you. So yeah, like I say, the military power alone cannot guarantee success here. As military, think about the US invaded Iraq in 1991, and that didn't result in a regime change. They managed to get the Iraqis out of Kuwait, which is the objective, and they kind of assumed that people would rise up and take out Saddam Hussein, as a result of that, but it didn't happen. You just really can't predict this stuff. And the idea that you can't, we're gonna take out the Ayatollah and that'll be the end of the Ayatollahs. It's like, that's not the way the system works. It's like saying, well, if we go to America and we assassinate the president, they won't have any more presidents. Do you know how mad that sounds? Yeah. Wait, Graham is backwards and the world isn't flat. Yeah, it's true. You're seeing the reflection of me. I'm probably, you see, because this is the reflection. This is the image of me that I see when I look in the mirror. So I think that I look more attractive because it's the reverse version of me. Because I'm not used to the other version of me. So when you watch yourself back on video, you're a bit like, well, I am anyway. I'm a bit like, ooh. That's because you're not used to seeing yourself that way. Because when you look in the mirror, this is what it looks like. So the US have been miscalculating the Middle East for longer than I've been alive. Sounds about right, yeah. Look, if you want to win these type of things, right, military strategy, it must align with clear political and achievable. I think this is the word that everyone needs to look at. Achievable political objectives, and the plans must adapt if the initial assumptions are proven wrong. And leaders go in for this kind of daft foreign military adventures, these kind of daft military adventures. They need to understand and appreciate the fact that they might have to prepare for second and third order consequences of their actions, but they never seem to. It is just like a 12-year-old just running in, Leroy Jenkins style, and just fucking shit up for everyone, and then just thinking, they're the greatest. And without having clear goals and a plan and a plan B and a plan C and a plan D, these wars become long, costly, and unpredictable. A really good example is the fact that the second time the US went into Iraq in recent times, they got into a quagmire. They were stuck there for years and years and years. The first time, they literally pushed the Iraqis occupiers out of Kuwait. They pursued them a little bit across the desert, and then they turned around and went back. And it was, achievements. They'd done it. Interestingly enough, though, after doing that, and actually, hitting the war objectives that they wanted to do, which was the liberation of Kuwait, George H.W. Bush, who was the president at the time, went on to lose his next election. He was a one-term president. He went on to lose the next election. And interestingly is his son, George W. Bush, who took over in 2000, 2001, I guess technically, 2001, he failed in his objectives in Afghanistan. He didn't kill Osama bin Laden. He failed in an objective in Iraq. They didn't bring a stabilised regime in there, but he still won the next election. It's weird, isn't it? But I think that was more to do with 9/11 than anything else. So yeah, US intelligence assessment before the war concluded that even a large-scale military attack would not likely topple Iran's government, and I don't think that should come as a surprise to anyone who's paying attention. But even the authorities, the military the military intelligence they have over there in America, said that it's not going to happen. That we could have boots on the ground. It would not make a regime change. It just doesn't. It just doesn't work. It's very unrealistic, even with heavy military pressure. And even though there has been the uprisings against the regime, and it was heavily put down by the regime, at the same time, all this attacking is doing is making um, the people who are, you know, in the bomb shelters hate America more and Israel more than their own regime that's been oppressing them for years. I guess they say there's no atheists in foxholes, which I really dislike that expression. I think it's patronising, condescending, and I think maybe as well there's no traitors in a bomb shelter, is there? Or usurpers, maybe we should say there's no usurpers in the bomb shelters. Even the people who fucking hated Hitler in his rise to power got in line during the war. They just did because they were being bombed, and being German was more important than toppling Hitler. For most people, I know there was a couple of assassination attempts. Oh my god, love the WoW reference. They're clapping themselves on the back because they spent 5 billion to take out 5 billion to take out 5 billion to take out 5 million worth of drones. Yeah, that's true. Loving that Charlie stat on the Beeb gave Kemi B a proper grilling. Sorry that the camera's shaking. It's actually pickle. Sorry, I almost called you Campesino then. I'm sorry, my friend. Yeah. Pickle, my dog, is having a scratch right next to the camera. The US miscalculates everything, no shocks there. No, but this is the thing, like, they don't, I mean, they do, but there are intelligent people in America. It's not like America is full on idiocracy, where there's no one who's clever anymore. But first of all, clever people don't get listened to. And secondly, the people in charge aren't the clever people. So they're not the people doing the research and going, no, that's just not going to work. And all that's left for the rest of us is just to stand there, pointing and say, well, I told you so. Told you that wasn't going to work. Friendly fire only came about when a certain country gets involved. Yeah. Friendly fire, that's another term I hate. Hate the term friendly fire. I hate the term ethnic cleansing. I hate the term Zionism. I just hate these terms. Stop using them. Everyone needs to stop using them. Like a friendly fire, there's nothing friendly about it. It's literally, you fucking murdered your own people. Your own troops. People on your side, this fucking what? So yeah, then we've got the sort of the domestic and international consequences of all this. Russian society initially underestimated the likelihood of war. They didn't think that it would actually go ahead, and then it did. But then they accepted the government's narrative on this, and similar things are happening in America. The US that obviously clearly that the leaders have lied about the potential scale and the consequences of the conflict, and analysts have warned that the war could produce more instability than Americans currently expect to happen, and there's wider global implications here. Iran's leadership has shown internal tensions, although attacks continue, and Russia is reportedly sharing intelligence with Iran, so bringing those two conflicts together. Although in one conflict Russia is the aggressor, whereas in this particular conflict in Iran, Israel and the US are the aggressor. But here's the thing, right? I want to get into the law of unintended consequences, right? So I believe that the price of oil has gone already over $100 a barrel. It's nearly doubled. But also there are grave concerns for the global food supply because of the knock-on effect of us being so ridiculously dependent on oil derivatives for our farming, for our fertilizers. This is really, really bad for everyone in the world, because oil prices go up. It's happened a lot of times before. It's a problem, but you see that the issue right now is we've already had these mad sanctions against Russia after they invaded Ukraine, right? and Europe weaned itself off Russian gas and Russian oil. But to replace that, it turned to the Middle East, in particular Qatar, for its LNG, liquid natural gas. Now, Qatar have actually shut down their LNG facility that super cools the gas down to a temperature where it can be liquid, which is then put on a ship and sent through the Strait of Hormuz. They can't do that now because the Strait of Hormuz is looking very dicey at the moment. And as I've said before, if one of those gas ships goes up, it's going to be quite catastrophic. I hope I'm not too close to the camera. I know I keep coming close to the camera. I'm swinging on a hammock at the moment, but there are a few people that I follow on TikTok. Can I have a little moan about something, right? Some people I follow on TikTok, and they're not necessarily unattractive. It's not like I have a problem seeing their face, But when they make a video for TikTok, they fill the whole screen up with their face. Do you know what I mean? When the sides of their face are touching the side, you're watching it portraits, the sides of their face are touching the sides of the screen, and they're just too close. I don't know, it feels like I'm being close talked to. When you talk to someone who used to star in soap operas in the 80s, when the actors had to stand very close to each other because you're in a 4:3 frame, unnaturally close to each other, and close talkers. And I just kind of wish that people who make TikToks and stuff would just take a step back, just a little bit, just one step back, and then I might watch your video. Because honestly, if my whole phone is your face, I'm gonna just go next. Just saying. It's International Women's Day today. It is. Catherine told me this morning. She said, it's International Women's Day, and I was like, oh, I'm not there to celebrate with you. Oh well, never mind. But yeah, it is International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day for all who partake, and especially to Deadpool and his lovely girlfriend, played by Marina Baccarin of Firefly fame. We like her from Firefly. She was also in Homeland. Sweden got some free grain from Russia the other day. That's weird. I was thinking about this while making egg on toast this morning. I wonder what the rations of World War III will look like. If the camera's shaking, please keep your hands in sight. Thank you. Well, I did. Actually, as I was telling you that, I'd made a point of doing jazz hands because I realised the camera was shaking and I understood the implications. I understood that reference. But yeah, happy International Women's Day to everyone out there. Not just women, men as well. Everyone. And it is a day of celebration of women and this pathetic, ridiculous gotcha that these right-wing ghouls on the mainstream media seem to adopt, which is, they go, oh yes, but what is a woman? A woman is a person who says, I'm a woman, and lives that life. Not just someone who just comes up to you and puts a hat on and says, I'm a woman. It doesn't work like that. But someone who is living the life of a woman is a woman. Simple as that. Because otherwise, you try and get into these definitions. Well, a woman has boobs. Okay, so children aren't women. Children aren't girls. Well, if you had a mastectomy. Okay, women have got wombs. But not all women. Some women have a hysterectomy because of complications following childbirth or cancer. Well, women they're not very good at chess. What? And all this shite that the right are fucking obsessed, and some people on the left as well are obsessed with this, about women's sports, absolute obsession with it. This is not fair on women. This is degrading the level of women's sports. Women's sports, it's unfair if trans women take part in women's sports. What about all these female athletes who have trained, and they come fifth in a swimming race, in a regional swimming race that no one gave a fuck about? And if it hadn't been for that other trans woman who was swimming, they would have come fifth. What do you mean they would have come fifth? Well, it was they shared fifth place. So whether the trans woman had swum with Riley Gates or whatever her fucking name is, she would have come fifth. She came fifth. I mean, the person who came sixth, or seventh, I guess, they went down a piece. They went down one. Don't see much about them. But yeah, all of that. We care about women. We care about women's sports so deeply that we have to be horrible to trans women. We have to exclude them. There was a horrible story in Pink News the other day about a trans cricketer who had been kicked out. And they were playing cricket for fun. Like it wasn't they were part of a competition or nothing. It was just for fun. They were kicked out. Cricket. Anyway, so yeah, we really care about women's sports all of a sudden. We really care about this weightlifter from New Zealand who's, got beaten in a regional competition. Didn't get their certificate. Did little swirls around the edges. Because a trans woman got there first. Got in, Did the trans woman win? No, she came third. Okay. But she stopped a cisgender woman coming third. Okay, tell me about this now. So now fucking explain why. A, you've never been to a women's football match in your fucking life. Why women's football was illegal in the UK pretty much until the 1970s. And could you please explain to me, just if you had a football pitch, a stadium, like Goodison, or Anfield, or Old Trafford, wherever, yeah? And you allowed women to play football on that pitch, you were kicked out of the FA. That was the rule. But just explain to me why. A couple of weeks ago, when the men's team won the hockey in the Winter Olympics for the first time in 50 fucking years, they were laughing with Trump saying, I suppose we're going to have to invite the women's team as well. After the women's team won gold for the ice hockey for like the 19th time in a fucking row. But we care so much about women's sports. We do. One of the things that I do like that Labour are doing, and I know we are not seeing too many things to like, and anything good they do, they manage to fuck it up and upset anyone anyway, somehow. But one of the things that I do appreciate that they're doing is they are taking violence against women and girls seriously. But for it to work, it has to be intersectional, and it must include violence against trans women and girls. And if they don't do that, I think the whole thing's going to fucking fail. Because as our friend Rachel often says, there's a domino effect, You go after the trans people first, then you go after gay people, then you go after women, and you take their rights away. You keep them through these different groups in society and you take the rights away. There's a roadmap for this. Once you make prejudice, like absolutely unevidenced prejudice, once you make that acceptable, once you make it acceptable to hate Jews because of no good reason, but everyone else is, so you may as well. Once you dehumanize a group in society like the Tutsis enough that you can then, with a clear conscience, go out and throw the Jews into a concentration camp, hack the Tutsis to death with machetes, or tell trans women that they're no longer allowed to go for a piss anywhere in public because reasons. Once you go down that path, there's no end to it, You do know that the fallout from the 1994 genocide in Rwanda is still echoing through to today. Still conflicts going on around the borders of Rwanda, going over into Democratic Republic of Congo, into Goma, all of that stuff. The Lord's Resistance Army. Remember everyone was doing that Comey thing, right? He was originally from Uganda, I think. But this area of operation, and the fact that he could get away with doing what he was doing was because of this this nuclear explosion of instability that went off in 1994 as a result of the Rwandan genocide. And as a knock-on effect of the Rwandan genocide, we had the first and second Congolese wars, which resulted in the deaths of between 6 and 10 million people. That happened at the turn of the millennium. That no one talks about. No one fucking mentions that. Because it happened in some place a long way away. Didn't affect the West. There was no oil there, you know. Maybe now if it happened, people would be a bit more upset because we need the coltan, we need the rare earths in order to make our electronics go bees. I don't know. But actions have consequences. And unlike in physics, where the consequence is a proportionate and equal and opposite reaction to every action, in politics, in world geopolitics, it's very, very rare for plan A to go right on spectacular kind of events like what you saw in the 1930s in the rise of Hitler's Germany, in the 1990s in Rwanda. But once you dehumanize people to such a point where you can do anything to them, they don't matter because they'll probably attack you anyway. That world was one that I so dearly wished we had left behind. I wish we had just left it be fucking hind. But here it is, rearing its god-ugly head up again at 10 years, you know? And I say to people who are transphobic, I say, how would it sound if you said that you didn't want black women using the same toilet as you? Or if I said I don't want black men using the same toilet as me? Would that make me look like an enlightened fucking member of society? No, it'll make me look like a petty, bigoted, racist fuck. They used to have segregated bathrooms for black women and black men in America until the 1950s, until the Civil Rights Act, actually, until in the 1960s. They used to have that in South Africa until the 90s. Segregated toilets for one group in society. And short of rounding everyone up and putting them into camps, right? I can think of few things as dehumanizing as that. A basic need that everyone has being denied a group in society. And then you have that Voldemort woman, that horrific woman who's made all that money through giving children joy and giving the queer community a feeling of identification with this young lad who's treated like shit by his family because he's different, because he's in the closet, sorry, he's under the stairs. And then he finds this magical world, this dangerous, wonderful, colourful, explosive, magical world where there's lots of people like him. Lots of people like him. Not all of them are good. Some of them are evil little shits. But they're his people. And he finds them. And if you're reading that as a queer person, you're seeing allegory about yourself. What a great thing for kids to read as teenagers, you know, the kids. I found my group, I found my tribe, I found the people who accept me. And then she takes that joy. She takes all that love, all that good feeling, you know, all those good vibes. And then she nukes them from orbit. Literally nuclear fucking holocausts them from fucking orbit. With this mad fucking... I mean, I do genuinely think it's madness. I do genuinely think she has a severe mental health problem. And she says, you can't assume innocence of any given group in society. And of course she was talking about trans people, but you know, you could put that on anyone. Can you assume innocence of Jews, Muslims, people with African heritage, people with Indian heritage, people with Chinese heritage, gay people, lesbians, bisexuals? We need to stop, she said. We need to stop assuming innocence through certain groups, which I want to be free to demonize. In the same way that someone like Donald Trump has done more damage to the name of America, America's reputation. It breaks my heart that these ghouls like J.K. Rowling and Sharon Davis and Graham Linehan have done more to damage feminism than anyone else this century. I mean, you've got your Andrew Tates who are obviously waging war on feminism from outside, but you've got people who are using feminism as an excuse to be bigoted twats, and that breaks my heart. And it's why it's so important that International Women's Day must include all women, whether they are of African heritage or Latin American heritage or Indian, Chinese, Aboriginal, Solomon Islanders, Japanese, European, Scandinavian, Mediterranean, trans, gay, lesbian, doesn't matter. They're women. And we need to build societies that protect women, but not in a fucking gobshite way. And you'll see the same arguments about protecting women being trotted out in god-awful theocratic autocracies like Saudi Arabia, where women weren't allowed to drive. Why? Well, we're trying to protect you. Or in horrible places like in America, where you're not allowed to have an abortion. Why? We're trying to protect you. The patriarchy is trying to protect you. The patriarchy wants to put a man with a clipboard at the end of your bed with a checklist, right? And he can watch you have sex and tell you that you're doing it wrong. And if you do it too wrong, that man wants to put you in jail. And they'll always say, it's for your own good. It's for your own protection. We're actually protecting you against the trans people. Yeah, we're protecting you against men, in all societies. And this is, I guess there's anthropologists could tell me about tribes in Melanesia where they're matriarchal. But in the vast majority of our patriarchal societies, right, we have these ghouls telling women that they need to do this and do that and do the other. And whenever the issue of the problem being men comes up, think about what happens, right? So, in Saudi Arabia, the testimony of a woman who has been sexually assaulted, raped, is worth less than a man. And if it's a he said, she said situation, the man's testimony will have more weight than hers. Women have been put to death in horrific style, like the way that they stone people. It's we think of stoning now, obviously because of Monty Python. We've kind of got this idea in our head that it's a bit of a silly thing. The reality is it's absolutely horrific. I'm not going to go into the actual details here, but suffice to say, the victim is buried up to their neck in the sand before the stoning begins. And that happens to women for the crime of being raped. Now think what happens when there's a murderer on the loose, or a serial rapist. They tell women to stay in, don't they? What? Yeah, stay indoors. Don't go out. No, tell the men. Tell the men, stay indoors. Curfew, 7 o'clock. Don't go out after 7 until we find this killer, until we find this rapist. They'll find him pretty quick. But have you noticed it's always put on the women? In Muslim communities, where women are expected to cover up. Why? Well, to avoid the gaze of men. Because women will distract the men from praying. Do you think Islam is alone in having that rule? No, it's absolutely not. Look at Judaism. You go to a shul, you go to a synagogue, The women sit on the balcony, they sit upstairs from the men, away from the men, they're segregated. Why? Because otherwise the women will distract the men from praying to God. You see, because if they see a woman, they go crazy and start thinking about sex, and they're not supposed to be thinking about sex, they're supposed to be thinking about God. But who is it who's made to go up the stairs? Who is it who's made to wear the headdress? The wimple, if you're a Catholic nun. Who's made? It's the women. The women. Always the women. Always the women. We have a problem with men doing horrible things. Okay, well, tell you what, we'll punish the women. We'll make them change their lives and the way they live their lives. We'll exclude them from certain places. We'll say they can't go there. Do you know what I mean? And this is why feminism is so important. It has so much more to do. Like, I put together a pitch, this is years ago, for a show called Venus in Chains. And I think it was a 12-part series. God, it was pretty fucking comprehensive. I wanted to make it for Channel 4. Well, I didn't want to make it. I wanted my female friends who are filmmakers and documentary makers to make it. And each episode looks at a different issue, framed around this idea that a lot of women think that feminism is feminism is over, right? Feminism's done. It's completed all its objectives, and we don't need feminism anymore, right? And the idea is for each episode we go to 3 different locations around the world and see how this the way that the patriarchy controls things in different countries is ruining the lives of women all over the world, and how much further we have to go. Now, here's something interesting. So when I wrote this back in 2013, I think, when I wrote this pitch, one of the examples on the abortion episode was going to be Ireland, because at the time, abortion was still illegal in Ireland. Now, I would change it to America. I'd go to Alabama or somewhere. We're not going forwards. We're really not. In many, many ways, we're going backwards. But it wasn't just abortion. It also covered prostitution, child brides, rape as a weapon of war. This is what I had in my head was a very heavy-hitting series to just kind of bludgeon people into the realization, when they awake, dazed with the little birds swimming around their head, to the realization that we have got so much more to do. And this war on trans people is just a massive distraction and is not making anyone's life better. It's not even making the transphobes' lives better. You've got Graham Linehan sitting on his own. His wife and his kids have left him, don't speak to him, don't want anything more to do with him. He's sitting alone at New Year on his own, drinking, obviously getting absolutely fucking slaughtered, hammered, drunk, on his own, and just tweeting every 30 seconds how much he hates trans people. On New Year's fucking Eve. Well, at least, I don't know, you should see your family or hang out with your mates or just, maybe just watch fucking, Jules Holland on the couch with your flatmates or your better half or your neighbours. I don't know. No one sane spends the evening alone on Twitter, raging about the existence of a group in society. So yeah, no one's doing well out of it, especially not our trans brothers and sisters. Here's my late fee father. Oh, thank you very much, Sarah, for the first super chat of the morning. Might be the only one, so thank you very much for that. £2 super chat, and I'm going to put up my super chat board. Yeah, hey, super chat. Hey, listen. As I'm talking about this, I really should have just done my Sunday sermon on feminism today, shouldn't I? Because it's International Women's Day. I should have thought of that when Kat texted me this morning saying, one of the first things she wrote to me was Happy International Women's Day. But yeah, it's one of those things where in the morning when I was trying to get set up and get me things ready and make myself a cup of coffee, it was a bit difficult this morning because the cooker's been disconnected because we were doing the floor yesterday. So we had to make the tea in the cabana. The coffee in the cabana, which has got a little two hob stove thing. Anyway, fascinating. I know. But yeah, so I was also saying, because I wake up in the morning and I tend to just check the news and I check what people have sent me. And but one of my friends sent me this article about how similar the things were between the way that America started bombing Iran and the way that Russia went into Ukraine a few years ago, 4 years ago now. But yeah, to go back to that momentarily, and I'll get into your comments, and then we'll move on from there. Russia is apparently sharing intelligence with Iran, as we've mentioned, and I did say about the conflict affecting global food production. Now, the Persian Gulf is absolutely critical for global fertilizer supplies, but also that's all the time, right? But the thing is, now in particular, what season is it in the northern hemisphere? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's spring. When do you need your fertilizer? When do you need to grow your stuff? When do you plant your seeds? Come on, I know there's people, you don't even have to be a farmer to know this. When do you do it? Even if you've been in your garden, do you plant your stuff in the middle of the winter and frozen winter shit? No, of course you fucking don't. You do it in spring. So this is the worst possible time for that fertilizer to not be able to get out of the Persian Gulf. European governments are already facing domestic criticism for involvement in a conflict that they did not initiate. And poor old Keir Starmer, he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. The war in Iran is still in its early stages, but the political rhetoric, the expectation of a quick victory and reliance on a regime collapse just absolutely mirrors the early stages of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And the analysts have warned that wars that are launched with vague objectives and overconfidence very rapidly end up becoming prolonged conflicts. And even with superior military power, breaking a large country and forcing regime change is extremely difficult. And I want to give a few examples of this kind of thing. Right? If you have a set objective, right? So here in Panama, Manuel Noriega was the president here, and he was a gobshite. He worked with Pablo Escobar, selling drugs and being a gobshite. He wasn't a very nice man. And I think he lost an election or something. He didn't accept it. He wouldn't leave. And the Americans kind of invaded, but they didn't. They just arrested him, really, realistically. And at that time, the Panama Canal Zone was an American territory, so it was part of America, technically speaking. That's why John McCain could run for president, even though he was born in Panama, because he was born in the Canal Zone. And technically, that's part of America. Fun fact, I think if you're born in an American embassy anywhere in the world, you could claim that you were an American citizen. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how that works. But they don't let really heavily pregnant women into the building, just in case. So that was a regime change. But it wasn't a regime change. The regime stayed the same. They just got a different leader, right? And here's something as well. We need to really clearly define what we mean by regime change, right? So if you have a leader like Maduro, who is the president of Venezuela, you take him out, you're not going to get regime change in Venezuela. It doesn't work like that. You might get a different president, of course, but you're not going to get a regime change. For a regime change to happen, you need to change absolutely everything about the place. You need a denazification process like we had in the 1940s in Germany, or in Iraq, where famously they'd had a de-Baathification process where they got rid of the Ba'ath Party, and like everyone who worked for the Ba'ath Party, even when they were doing the denazification of Germany, they didn't get rid of all the civil servants because they needed them to operate and run things, and the local governors and things. So they got rid of them all in Iraq, and the whole place fell into pretty much fucking anarchy with rival warlords and the rise of ISIS. But time and time again, we see there are certain military operations that are like very successful. So I'll give some examples. Sierra Leone, the UK went into Sierra Leone, and it was about 2002, I think it was, and they went in to get the British personnel out of the capital, Freetown, but they ended up ending the war. They ended the war. They realised this was an objective that they could achieve, and the commanding officer at the time put a message through to the then Prime Minister Tony Blair, saying, we can stop this war, and he went, okay, go on then, and they did. They did. And then you've got the intervention finally in Bosnia, in Sarajevo, which came too late. But then a few years later, there was the intervention by the KFOR troops, or the NATO KFOR troops, into Kosovo, and that was caused by the regime in, well, the gobshite who was in charge of what was then Serbia and Montenegro, Slobodan Milosevic, basically wanting to wipe out the ethnic Albanians who lived there. Now, historically, I mean, the borders always went back and forth, but for quite a while, Kosovo was part of Albania, and that's why so many ethnic Albanians lived there, it would be like trying to get the English out of Wales. I mean, some people might enjoy getting the English out of Wales, but the reality is, if you actually tried to do that in real life, it would be really fucking horrific. Or get the English out of Scotland, do you know what I mean? Or get the Scottish out of England. I mean, okay. The KFOR troops went in, and they stopped the Serbians from massacring the Kosovans. Great, okay, cool, right. And Kosovo's still not widely it is widely accepted as a country these days, but there's over 120 countries now recognise it, including the UK, which is why I included it on my list of countries to visit on the Odyssey expedition to every country in the world without flying. But that was a successful military operation, right? But even that, and again, it wasn't perfect, and things fucked up. Things do fuck up over time, and it is very, very difficult in any given military operation to fully achieve the objectives, because the objective is capture Saddam Hussein and put him on trial. Okay, that's the objective. You do that, now what? And there's so many times in history where a country has won the war but not won the peace, because whatever comes next, you've got really got to think about how that works and how you can achieve the best possible outcome for the people who live in that country and surrounding areas. In the case of Iran, they haven't even fucking... There's no chance. I'll put my fucking hat on the line here. I will eat my fucking hat if this is successful. I just can't see any way of it being a success. And again, like when I talk about regime change, right? So there's a big difference between toppling a leader in a country where they can be replaced by another leader, but the regime continues, and getting rid of an entire state apparatus, a fascist state apparatus, which the people of that country do not want anymore. And I think that's the crucial thing. The people of the country have to not want it. And it's frustrating as well that America not only want people to go out and protest, now that 30,000 people were killed by their own government as a result of Trump saying, don't worry, help is on its way. And his help is essentially bombing the shit out of the place. And I think there's another part of me that hates the anti-intellectualism of it all. It's just so fucking stupid. It's like, oh, can you give me a hand with this cryptic crossword puzzle? Okay. What are you doing? Smashing up rocks with a sledgehammer? How does that help me with my cryptic crossword? Well, it doesn't, but, I'm helping. It's not helping at all. In fact, it's distracting me from actually doing the cryptic crossword puzzle myself. Why would you do that? Or, as I often talk about, the idea of when terrorists or even governments go after civilians, it's a bit like you see a crime being committed over the road. Like maybe it's a member of your family being attacked over the road. And instead of helping them out, taking them to the hospital, picking them up, you punch the person next to you on your side of the road who've got nothing to do with it. They were just there. That's it. They were just there next to you. I know how to solve this problem. Violence. Always the answer. And when I think of like the invasion of Grenada, or the failed invasion of Cuba, and the Bay of Pigs fiasco, and places where it has worked, places where it hasn't, but generally speaking, right, the number of military operations that have succeeded in the world is remarkably small, because you have to look at the long term. You can't just say, oh, well, they achieved their objective of getting rid of Saddam Hussein, or they achieved their objective of getting rid of Muammar Gaddafi, or whoever, There's that whole point to it where before you go into a armed conflict, you have got to think really, really long and hard about all of the different things that could happen as a result. And when you have leaders as arrogant and as evil, and in Donald Trump's case, and as stupid as Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, Slobodan Milosevic, I can't see a way of it working. I just can't. And like I say, it frustrates me on an intellectual level, because I hate the fact that they don't take any of this into consideration. They don't do the hard bit. They don't do the sums. They don't work out the logistics. They don't war game it. And that's why it's going to end in disaster. I just can't see anything good coming of this. Except for one thing. Russia's a bit fucked, innit? Russia's got no allies left. Had al-Assad in Syria, he's gone. He's now living in Russia. They had Maduro in Venezuela. He's now in a prison cell in New York. And he had Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran. He's now dead. And I'm sure he'll get replaced by somebody else. But when he's trying to buy some drone technology or drones from Iran, they're going to say no, can't sell you them because we need them to blow stuff up in Abu Dhabi. Because we just Abu Dhabi do. Anyway, so yeah, back into the chat, because I've been ignoring you for far too long. Where's the confetti board? Ooh, that would be cool. Posey Park got kicked out of a women's event yesterday. She got led out by police. Yeah. It's always the really nice people, isn't it? It's always the people that you'd love to have around for a dinner party. I saw a video where a lesbian was called disgusting in the States because she married another woman, freaking mad. One of my gay friends got shouted at 2 days ago too, because he is feminine. I just hate it. I hate that we have this society where we've got to conform to these gender roles. I mean, the hypocrisy. I think more than anything, it's the hypocrisy, isn't it? The hypocrisy of it all. Like, I don't want to write with my left hand. It's all right, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to write with your left hand, mate. It's okay. Yeah, but I don't think left-handed people should exist. I don't think they should be allowed to use the toilet because, I think they're a bit sinister. See a little playing with the language there. But you don't have to write with your left hand. I don't think gay marriages should happen. Why not? Oh, because I don't want to marry a man. Okay, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to have a gay marriage. Well, why are you stopping others who might want that? And then the hypocrisy of these people who, complain about lesbians. You look at their hard drive, you're full of lesbian porn. Yeah, I guarantee that if that Graham Linehan creep went to PC World with his fucking broken laptop, they would find a mountain of trans porn on there. An absolute fucking mountain. Like all the trans porn that ever existed. He's gone through so much of it, he's got to the sign at the end of the internet saying there is no more trans porn. Sorry. Go back to the start. The hypocrisy. There was a scene in a Richard Dawkins show called The Root of All Evil. And it was about religion. I know Richard Dawkins is a massive turf and we don't like him. But in this show, I want to just tell you about this. He was interviewing a guy called Ted Haggard, who was one of these evangelical preachers. This is about 20 years ago, right? He's one of these evangelical preachers in America. Fire and brimstone, has a huge fucking church, stadium. 80,000 people will come and hear him preach the word of the Lord. Multi-millionaire. very, very, very rich from telling people they're all going to burn in hell or whatever. And he's there with Richard Dawkins, and he says it's because of atheists like you that we have homosexuality, prostitution, adultery, drug addiction. Okay, let's go through those. Homosexuality, drug addiction, right? Adultery, prostitution. That same man, Ted Haggard, just a few months after doing that interview on that Channel 4 documentary, he was found, he's a married man, he was found in a hotel room off his tits on drugs having sex with a rent boy, male prostitute, adultery, drug taking, prostitution, homosexuality. And do you know what he said? You know exactly what he said, don't you? Without me having to fucking say it, but you know exactly what he said. The devil made him do it. He's still rich. Still fucking taking money off fucking saps to tell him he's going to take him to the VIP section of heaven. Mate, that's what we've got to put up with. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy and the stupidity. The lack of forward thinking. And it's sad as well. You know, in another world, another life, someone like John Travolta or Tom Cruise could live life as their authentic selves instead of having to pretend they're something they're not. I don't want to live in a society where people have to pretend they're something that they're not. And if people are something that they'd rather not be, like a psychopath, I think there should be support there to help them not be a psychopath, to manage their everyday lives. But yeah, on this International Women's Day, after over a year of Donald Trump in office in America, another fucking almost 3 years of that to go, I'm just hoping, against hope, that the stark reality of what is being done to not just marginalised communities in the UK, in the US, elsewhere, but also to like just people going about their daily business, whether it's Alex Pretty being shot dead in Minnesota, or Renee Good being shot dead in Minnesota, or whether it's by the authorities, by the Trump regime, or whether it's the oil prices going through the roof, therefore the egg prices going through the roof in America, the things that Donald Trump said was going to happen and he was going to make things better and he was going to, get down the price of gasoline and eggs, and he was going to make the stock market do really well. The stock market's fucked at the moment. The price of oil's gone through the fucking roof. Instability across the Middle East. The leaders of all these countries that have been giving Trump loads of money, jet planes, and giving his son-in-law $2 billion for God knows what, they're all turning around now and going, what the fuck are you doing? You're making Dubai look bad. Meanwhile, in Dubai, these influencers have gone over there, taken the fucking money, and now they're going, for a day they put out videos going, oh, we've been attacked, and now they're putting videos going out, I feel safer in Dubai than I do in London. Okay, yeah. Lots of missiles hitting hotels in London. There's the Ritz been hit by a fucking missile in the last week? No. Why are they doing that? Well, because the fucking regime over there has said, listen, we fucking pay for you to come over here and live the life of Riley. And if you put out videos saying that we're getting attacked and you're scared, we're going to put you in jail. Simple as that. Because it's a fucking barbaric, patriarchal, autocratic regime. True story. Right, I'm going to get back into the chat. Where's the Covfefe board? It's Russia's involvement that has me feeling World War III has begun. It says Gallon Favorite. Yeah, Russia's... Ren, I've said, I've said this before. Russia's a paper tiger, or paper bear in its case. It's got fuck all. Honestly, I can't stress this enough. It said that, and then there is another parallel with what's happening now with America and Iran. They said, you ain't seen nothing yet. America said that this week. You ain't seen nothing, just you wait. Trump said, I'm gonna flatten the whole place. Yeah, Vladimir Putin said the same thing about Ukraine. You fight back and I'll destroy you all. Did he? Did he fuck? Do you know why? Because they don't have any nukes. They don't. Do you know how I know they haven't got any nukes? They haven't tested their nukes for 40 fucking years. That's how I know they haven't got any nukes. Or 34 years. They've not tested any nuclear bombs for 34 years. Now I know, as someone who has somewhere in the tropics, everything needs constant maintenance here. Everything, all the time. Everything. Every little bit of wood. Every little bit of everything, There was a cable in the house, right, behind the panel. And they'd been stuck to the wall, right, with little plastic hooks, the little plastic hooks with a nail in that you have. And you put them in and you put the electrical cable through it. Yeah. All of these plastic things are disintegrated. The plastic had disintegrated. I don't even mean like it just snapped. It disintegrated. And the nail on each of them had just rusted to nothing. I only did that 10 years ago. Right? Now you scale that up to nuclear weapons. Russia famously had the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, right? In the early 90s. Over 1,600 warheads, I think, maybe even more. But here's the thing, right? They require constant maintenance. Constant maintenance. Parts need replacing. The radioactive material inside the weapon needs to be enriched, stirred up. I don't know what the process is exactly, but it's very, very expensive to maintain a nuclear arsenal. Very expensive, especially one that size. Here's the number that you need to bear in mind. America spends more money on maintaining its nuclear arsenal than Russia does on its entire military. That's the army, air force, navy, everything. All the munitions, the ships, missiles, rockets, drones, everything. Pay for the soldiers, food for the soldiers, everything. So, even if Russia was an incredibly corrupt society, but probably the most corrupt nation on earth, to be honest with you. I mean, it blows Nigeria out of the water, to be honest with you. In Nigeria, a place where corruption is a way of life. You want to take money out of your bank, you've got to bribe the bank manager. You want to get to the bank, you've got to bribe a police officer to let you drive down the fucking road. You've got to, your kid goes to school, you want the teachers to teach him something, you got to fucking bribe the fucking teacher. Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, Russia's even worse. I mean, don't get me started on UK and how corrupt things are in the UK. Thankfully, the Labour government have brought in new rules about Companies House, where you actually have to prove who you are before you start a fucking business in London, which is finally here. But for a long time, it was the money laundering capital of the world was London, because of Companies House and how shit it was run. But the way that the Americans have gone about this whole fucking thing, the way that the Russians have gone about it, even if Russia had this amazing array of nuclear weapons that it claims to have, but I don't think it does at all, even if it did, and it makes no sense to have that and not test them. You could do a test in the Black Sea, just on the horizon, so the people of Ukraine in Odessa could see this nuclear bomb go off in the fucking water and go, oh shit, we better not fucking fuck with the Russians, they got a nuclear bomb. But even if they did have all that they say they have, they're still not using it, are they? But they won't use it, because if they do, they know that's it. Do you know what I mean? The way that the world is run at the moment, which it's not a perfect situation for them, but it's not bad. If you are rich and evil, this world right now, the way it's set up, if you are rich, evil, white, male, yeah, well, not even white actually, if you look at the people in Arabia, so yeah, male, that's it. Rich, white, no, sorry, rich, male, rich and male, Yeah. So on International Women's Day, I think we should, call for maybe more women in leadership roles, and because they're less likely to go to war, unless you're Maggie Thatcher. But the Falklands War was a success. What was the objective? We need to get the Argentinians out of the Falklands. Okay. And we went and did it. Yes, it would never happen. Let women speak, aka shut up, I'm talking and only me. If you speak, you'll be challenging my grift. She's really good at telling women to let women speak. Yeah. No, it's just let me speak, isn't it? Let the women that I want to speak. I mean, I don't think that J.K. Rowling has any interest in letting Kate Nash or any of the outspoken trans allies out there letting them speak. No interest at all. Yeah. It's such a beautiful day here, It's such a fucking beautiful day. When my friend Lindsay came to stay here, she stayed for about 6 weeks. She went off to Bacchetti for a week or so in the middle of it. But she spoke of this island and she said it is just heaven and hell. It's either amazing or awful, and there's nothing in between. And I'm like, yeah, I know. By awful, it's when it's pissing down with rain, nothing is working, and the bugs are everywhere, and just everything goes horribly wrong, and you feel like you can't go out on the boat and escape. You're kind of trapped because of the weather and the waves and everything. But then you have a day like this, and back in the day when I lived here 10 years ago, God, a day like this, I would be getting in touch with my mates over in Bocas. I'd be like, what do you want to do today? And we might meet up and go to Wizard Beach, or we might go to Starfish Beach, or even out to the Zapatias Islands, which are beautiful. Or they might just come here. It's so many fucking great parties. And I used to have this little disco thing, with stereo with a light in the top. One of the like disco lights that projects onto the ceiling. I used to call it R2 Disco because it looked like R2D2 when he's got his head sticking out of the Luke Skywalker's X-wing. We'd just be here. We'd just be here on the boat dock. We'd have loads of hammocks. We'd have a hammock from there to here. We'd have another hammock. We'd have this one here. We'd have another one out there, and we'd have people sitting on the floor and having some drinks and having a chat and just chilling out and just enjoying life. It was fucking. There was something very magical about it. Something very magical about not having to, being able to leave the world behind to some extent. And do you know what ruined it all? Do you know what fucking ruined my life on this fucking island? Trump. So I can say that my life went in a different direction because of Nigel Farage in the UK, because of Brexit happening. Not just because I fought against Brexit, but because I couldn't do my usual, maybe if I'd had a fucking agent or something, I could have muddled through. But I didn't swim in the right circles. I do swim in circles a lot. In over here, we had an alright community of immigrants that call themselves expats, and we had the radio each morning. We get on the radio, and I'll do the weather, and I'll do like a news report, not news report, sorry, a surf report. It wasn't the news; it was like what's happening in the local area, more surf report, weather report. Say if anyone had anything to buy and sell. We did it on the CB radio network. We used to have a CB radio mast at the top of the house, and all of the different yachts in the area would get on there in the morning and find out what was happening. It was called the Bocas Emergency Network, or the Ben Network. Although they changed the name. It was originally Emergency Network because it was founded by someone out in one of the islands whose partner got bitten by a snake, and they needed a way of communicating quickly in a place where there was no cell phone area, or mobile phone area. But they changed the name, I think, to Bocas Expats Network, which I never liked, so I always referred it to it as, because otherwise it would be BIN, wouldn't it? Like the BIN podcast. The Bocas Immigrant Network, but I don't think they would like that. And I was called a soil person because I had soil, whereas the yachties were just yachties. And you get on the radio and you'd have the name of the boat would be, that you'd introduce yourself as, this is Graham from... So this wasn't called Jinja Island, this was called Ben 63. That was just my name for this particular location. The reason for that is a lot of the people who live here from other countries. They tend to live on a bigger island, like a small part of a bigger island, whereas this is an island in its own right, which wasn't typical, or isn't typical. Anyway, so we had this thing set up, and it was really nice. And each week I'd go out and I'd meet up with my neighbours, and if someone came round to stay, like a friend, or even on the couch surfing network, we'd often go out into Dolphin Bay. I'd visit my neighbours. We'd go out to the bar. There was a place called Rana Azules, which was Blue Frog, a bar that was open on Sundays. We'd go over there, and it was mostly Americans, mostly older Americans, but there were people there, from obviously from here, but also from Argentina, and from Canada, and from Europe, Germany, Poland, and Italy. There was people there from South Africa, Botswana, and it was really nice. It was just really chill, and we'd go, and no one would talk politics, no one would sort of be in each other's face, but then Trump came along and he just fucking ruined it all. He made the atmosphere in this place here, where there's a lot of older Americans who are more likely to fall for con artists, charismatic con artists like Farage and like Trump. And those nice conversations that we were having about, the pros and cons of island life or tropical life or jungle life, descended into these shouting conflicts. People really fell out, lifelong friends falling out because of this motherfucker, because of this Trump fella. And by the end of 2016, I simply didn't want to be here anymore. Did not want to be here anymore. And that's because of one man. One fucking horrible shit bag of a man. And I cannot wait for what we are calling Big Beautiful Day. I'm going to have such a fucking party, my friends. I'm going to have such a party. How ridiculous is it on so many levels that out of the 8 billion human beings on this planet, one can fuck your life in such a way. One. In a faraway country that has nothing to do with me, that, I don't live in that country, I don't want to live in that country, it's got nothing to do with me, and yet the leader of that country can fuck up my life. And also billions of other people's lives. As we are going to see as time goes on, and the lack of urgency when it comes to climate change is horrific. I mean, you're seeing now, which I find hilarious, the same people who have been going, anti-net zero, are now trying to make out that like Ed Miliband's push to net zero is what's causing the price of oil to go up. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's the war. It's the war in Ukraine. It's the war in Iran. That's what's causing, because that's the way it works. Iran has a right to defend itself. Yeah, that is a good argument. I mean, the Iranian regime is shit. We can all agree on that, but it's being attacked. What do you think is going to happen? Maybe Trump thought that the South Park episode Imagination Land was a documentary. Yeah. Terrorists have invaded our imagination. In Venezuela, Trump replaced the leader with the leader. Job done. Yeah, exactly. So it's not regime change. You just change the person at the top of the regime. Lol. Many spins and Big Macs. Yeah. Jinja looks so serene. But if I went there, everything would be trying to eat me. Tasty blood based on how much I get eaten every summer each year. Says person impersonation. You're right. It will. And one of the reasons why I like it here more than other people, and some people really fall in love with the place, and people just like, no, never again. And it's nearly always to do with the insects. It's nearly always to do with the fact that certain people, insects like more than others. And I am very, very fortunate, very, very lucky, and I will acknowledge this, that insects don't find me as tasty. I'm not saying I don't get bitten at all, I do get bitten, but they don't find me as tasty as others. So if I have someone else on the island who they find more tasty, I honestly, one time, I was camping in Australia, right? And I woke up in the morning in a tent with my girlfriend at the time, and she was covered in bites, absolutely covered in bites, and I didn't have a single one. And it's just, AV positive is my blood type, and apparently insects don't like it as much. I mean, it's not like they don't like it at all. They will still bite me if they have to, but I'm like the thing on the menu that you'll have if there's nothing else is available. Yeah, like a chicken. I'm like a chicken nugget. So is the confetti sign written backwards? Well, yes, if I make one. Sounds like a weird twist on Cluedo when you put it like that. What, the mirror room? Tom Cruise is gay. I knew someone who knew one of his wives. Oh, he's absolutely gay. And he could have been having a great time with it, you know? Pickle needs a bath, wait, a swim in the sea first, and then a soapy bath. Well, this is the issue. So, Pickle, delightful as she is, absolutely fucking hates getting wet. Absolutely fucking hates it. She will not swim. She will not get in the water for, for any reason. And if we try and put her under the shower and shower her down, she gets very, very upset and very, very agitated. We occasionally take her to town to get properly seen. When she gets a vet appointment, just to check her over, make sure she's all right, make sure she doesn't need any things. But one of the nice things about living on an island for a dog, I guess, is although she doesn't get to play with other dogs, which is a bit sad, but you don't get the others. You don't get fleas and stuff like you don't get pick up doggy diseases and doggy ailments that you might get from other dogs being here. So that's kind of good. But yeah, when we take her into town for a vet's appointment, we generally take her to there's a place in town that does doggy shampoo and stuff, and they've got all the things that you need to wash her properly. But yeah, it is. It is an ongoing thing of like, oh my God, will you just take a bath? Will you just get bloody? Will you just? Will you? She won't take a bath, and yeah, when she gets very, very agitated, very upset. Do you know what I mean? Like she won't get bitey. She doesn't bite, but like I don't like it when you see another living being in distress, and it really distresses her. I don't know. We got her from the rescue place, so I don't know if she's had some past trauma to do with water that or something, but yeah, she. If anything to go by, the life of Riley is deeply miserable one. Yeah, Riley Gaines. I bet Charlie Mullins ran out of Dubai like a scared little child. The mug, yeah. Anyone playing Dead Island? It's what the setting reminds me of. Not at the moment. I'm playing Life Island at the moment. But then some of them fucked up and realised they had to go back to dodge tax. Yeah, that's true about you're talking about the expats going back to Dubai because otherwise they couldn't dodge the tax. They had to have so many days in Dubai. They apparently have 5,000 now, or they have 4,999 mirrors. The tritium needs replacing if it is a boosted bomb design. Titrium. We should probably have 100 working nukes, but I'm only guessing there. No, but why haven't they shown the hand? Why haven't they just blown one of them up in the Pacific or in the fucking desert in Kazakhstan? Like, why not just blow one up, put it on the internet, and go, look, we've got a nuclear weapon? If they have got 99, isn't it worth using one to threaten the fuck out of everyone? Like that might have actually, if they'd done that maybe at the start of the Ukraine conflict, they might have pulled a few Ukrainians over, going, "Oh shit, we don't get nuked." But no, didn't happen. America shouldn't have nukes. They've got the lunatic in charge. Yep, absolutely, couldn't agree more. The London laundromat, indeed. The launch, Miscalculation falling down. For quite a while, the US nukes didn't work. They had a safety wire to be withdrawn to arm the bomb, and the wire rusted through. Yeah. Also, a lot of them were based on 5.25-inch floppy disks, like the big floppies that were actually floppy on the outside. I know, smaller floppy disks, floppy on the inside. But yeah. How does No, actually, no, they were bigger than the 5. I think they were even bigger than the 5.25-inch, 5.25-inch discs, weren't they? I don't know. I remember seeing a report about it on John Oliver a while ago. Down with the patriarchy and all that. Daylight, I agree. I think Thatcher was an absolute fucking base, if I'm being honest. Yep, so do I. Nearly lost the Falklands before it even started. Yep. I think you've done well keeping the show going. Even the daily vids make me look around to see what I can fix. Says, yeah, there's always stuff to fix. Trump is a net negative to humanity. He absolutely is. Trump is a symptom of something deeply wrong in America. Yeah. I think that article I pointed out that showed that Americans hate Americans. Americans think that a majority of other Americans are evil. They're the only country in the world where a majority of that country believe that a majority of that country is evil. It's the only country in the world where it's that high, and honestly, it's head and shoulders above the rest. Head and shoulders above the, like, what percentage of people do you think are evil in your country is the question, and Americans like half Half of them are fucking evil. Why? Because they vote for the Democrats. Bring on the big beautiful day. That will be a day of much confetti. Yeah. I'm A plus and they love me. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's Gingers. Maybe it's just Ginger. Maybe they're trying to consume my soul, and because I'm Ginger, I don't have a soul, which is hilarious. I don't know my blood type, but you should find out, Alex. Find out your blood type. It's always good to know your blood type. Give blood. You might be an O positive, a universal donor. Ishmael is off buying materials for the underground layer as we watch. Yep. He's off getting a sanding machine. I'm B rhesus negative, quite a rare group. Well, that is very rare, Pete's music. That's very cool, though. I only know my mum's because, unfortunately, it bled a lot during birth. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Alex. Don't give too many ideas. There's a treaty about nuclear tests. Yeah? Is there? Cool. Tell Jack Chirac that back in the 90s. I mean, does Russia abide by any treaties? Does it? Does it have any treaties that it abides by? It's pulled out the nuclear non-proliferation treaties that it signed up to. They're gone. They're gone. Not doing it anymore. Signed a treaty with Ukraine back in the 90s, you know. And do you know what it said? It said, give up all your nuclear weapons and then we will respect your borders. That's what it said. We'll respect your sovereignty and respect your borders. I think that Vladimir Putin's never met a treaty he didn't want to renege on. So North Korea is the only country with viable nukes with the proper MOTs, I guess. Well, I can give blood now, I suppose. Oh, that's cool. I'm O positive, says Sarah. Oh, cool. Is that the international donor one? Sorry, international donor. Is that the universal donor? Is it a O positive? Is that the one that can be given to absolutely anyone else? Yeah. Sarah, your blood type is used the most, so always need lots. Yeah. I think it's the one that no matter what the donor is, you can have it, which is kind of cool. There's one that is there's one that's a universal donor, and then there's another blood type, and someone could probably look this up. That's a universal receiver. So if you've got that particular blood type, you can have any blood type put in you. But is it crazy that we have different blood types? Just as a thing, you know? God, imagine if that was it. Imagine if that's what separated humanity. You know, instead of it being racial or linguistic or religious or geographic, it was like, yeah, those people, I think they're an A negative. Oh my God, I don't want someone with type A negative blood pissing in the toilet next to me in an enclosed cubicle. How mad would that be? Everyone can have O negative. Oh, there you go. I think O negative is universal. The letters stand for antigens, and O was originally an O. Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was just ordinary. Okay, so type O negative then, as in the band. I once saw them play in Manchester, and they did a cover of "Shoplifters of the World Unite" by the Smiths. It's the maddest cover I've ever heard. Like this heavy rock band from America, you know, this goth rock band doing a cover of the Smiths. Back when it was okay to like the Smiths, because what's his name? Morrissey hadn't gone full gobshite. He hadn't gone full gobshite at that point. Anyway, listen. I'm taking my super chat with me. I'm gonna go. I've been blabbering on for 2 hours. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about the war in Iran, the war in Ukraine. We've also talked about International Women's Day, which I might talk about a little bit more later on today. So when Ishmael gets back, we're going to be doing some more work in the house. I don't know if I'll stream that. The reason why I say I don't know if I'll stream that is quite simply because it's going to get pretty dusty, and yeah, and I don't think it'd be too fun to watch. You know, it's not like we're creating something. We're not putting down I'm not pulling up the floor. I'm not putting the floor down like we did. We pulled it up the day before yesterday. And we put it down yesterday. We're just going to be sanding it and doing the fiddly bits around the corner and stuff. But I've made another executive decision, which I'm going to tell you about before I go. Okay, one more executive decision, and it is this, my friends. We are going to paint the house. I'm going to paint it. I was going to paint the outside anyway, but I'm going to paint the inside of it. Right, stick with me on this. It's just too wooden inside. It's just too dark and wooden and brown. It's doing me fucking head in. It needs to be a bit more light in there. And obviously, the windows, I don't know if you know this, but like the windows are mesh windows that allow air in, but they don't allow the chichas in. The little no-see-ums, the little bitey bastards, the sandflies, they can't get in through those windows. And but unfortunately, it cuts out a lot of light coming in, and so with the fact that on we've got the sort of the east side of the house, which is quite nice in the morning because that's where the sun comes up. But then on the west side, when the sun's going down, because of the way the house was built, I didn't build the house. There's no windows on that side, which means that no light comes through that from that direction. So yeah, so it's quite dark. It's quite dark in there, and it just reminding me of being like in the belly of a Spanish galleon or something, an old pirate ship or whatever. It's just kind of reminding me of that. So I'm not going to paint the countertops because they're already beautiful local wood that Ishmael's cousin got for us and coppiced from a tree, and then yeah, Marcus made this amazing countertop with them, and I varnished them, and they look absolutely amazing, like tropical hardwood from a tree that was coppiced. By the way, we didn't cut down the tree, we coppiced it, which is when you take branches off but you don't actually kill the tree. Yeah, just what we got was just fucking amazing, absolutely amazing. And you'd pay hundreds for those kind of countertops in the UK, maybe thousands. Yeah, I don't even think you can have them because it's tropical hardwood, and we have regulations about that kind of thing. Costs us about $29 plus the wood glue. Unbelievable. Obviously, supervillain blue. So what I was thinking is the cabinets under the wooden surface of the countertops, right? I was thinking of painting the cabinets. So a few different ideas. I was thinking maybe, yeah, supervillain blue, maybe like a light blue, or maybe a light, maybe like a pink. Or I'm kind of thinking I'm moving more towards cream at the moment. I don't want to make it white. I think white might look a bit odd. I think white. Why would it be white? I don't know. So I'm seriously thinking of doing it cream coloured. So we've got the cream and brown. I think cream and brown are quite a good colour combination. When your back's up against the wall. Same sort of colour combination that the public transport had in Liverpool back in the 60s and 70s when it looked cool. Before everything decided to be fucking blue and yellow. There's public transport all over the world has to be blue and fucking yellow just to make it look as discount as possible. Discount colours. So yeah, I'm thinking of painting the cabinets, and then that panel at the back of the kitchen island, which I was going to put some paneling over it, but I just want more wood. I think I may just paint it. So I'll paint all that and see how it looks. If I hate it, then I'm fucked. But if it lightens up the room, I think it'd be really nice. And then also it'll give me the chance to just turn the camera on and you can watch me paint. You'll literally watch paint dry. I'll be able to do an episode, right, of this show on this channel. It'll be called Watch Paint Dry with Graham Hughes. The other thing I'm thinking of, which I was talking about last night, right? You see these boards, right, going in up there, right, to the house. Those boards go all the way to the house, right? So you got a wall that comes from here and it goes all the way to the house, right? How about I buy 7 different colours of paint, right? 7 different pots of paint. And I get 7 rollers, which are all little mini rollers, which is just the exact width of the slats on the island. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, light blue, dark blue, purple, and make a rainbow road. What do you reckon? Are you up for that? Would you want to see a rainbow road? So I got 7 rollers, 7 tins of paint, and just every 7th one I do red, every 7th one I do orange, the 7th every. No? Bad idea? I don't know. As long as you don't do it black, as Johnny the artist would. The boards need cheering up. Yeah, I do. Just do the walls first. Various shades of white, but cream is good too. Says my mum. Yeah, the problem on the walls, Mum, is I've got all the plaques, all the driftwood plaques on the walls, which I'm seriously thinking of doing that as well. I might do the walls as well in there and make them all white and just make it that. I think it just make it look a bit nicer. Do you know what I mean? Because it does look a bit dark and dingy, especially when it's dark. Like when the sun goes down at half 6 every night here, so it gets dark. It gets very dark. Anyway, so we got a super chat! Yay! I was holding the super chat sign in the hope of getting the super chat, and we got a super chat! Yay! Andrew Ray, check legs of house for termites today. Thank you. Check legs of house for termites. Check legs of house for termites. Thank you, Andrew, for the top tip. Don't need to do that though. Sorry to. I'm not giving you your super chat back. It's mine. But I don't need to do that. Do you know why I don't need to do that? Because the legs of the house are made of concrete, mate, and the termites can't eat the concrete. So yeah. But the cabana in which Ishmael lives when I'm here. Well, I don't know. I think he lives there when I'm not here. I say to him, you can use the house. You can use the shower in the house. And he's like, no, it's fine. But yeah, the cabana is sinking on one side of it, and we're talking about jacking it up. He's tried to jack it up, the cabana, but it's the jack sunk into the mud. So what we're gonna have to try and do is maybe make like a concrete plinth under the house so we can let it set, and then put the jack on that, and then jack it up. On the concrete plinth. Sorry, Mum. The person that planned it better than Trump would. The person who built it planned it better than Trump would. Yes. But yeah, that house that I actually live in when I'm here, that you've been watching work in, that was only supposed to be the guest house. The main house was supposed to just be there, because this is the best place. This is the way you get a breeze, and this is why. When I go through this whole process of getting the title for the island, which is a long process, but when it happens, it means I can build on the water. Well, I can ask for a concession to build on the water. And if we can do that, then we can build something here. And I'm just getting this really nice natural breeze coming through at the moment, and it's lovely. It's the best place on the island to be, is actually not on the island, especially during the day, because it's bastard hot on there. That's why we need more trees. And that's why I'm going to plant some bamboo. I'm just going to have loads of bamboo. I don't care. Ishmael doesn't want me to get bamboo. He says it grows like crazy. But I'm going to override him. Overrule him. You know what? If I come back in 3 years' time and the place is just covered in bamboo and you can't get anywhere, it's just a bamboo maze, then I'll say, oh, sorry, mate, you were right. In fact, I'll carve it into wood backwards and I'll hold it up to you all to say, I was wrong. And I accept responsibility. Like that little animation I have when I'm at home. Yeah, so... long-term planning, we need more trees on the island. Why do we need more trees? Because trees provide shade and also places where birds can go. And when the birds sit in the trees and they shit, they put guano on the ground, which is a great fertilizer. So there you go. We bring our fertilizer here by getting ourselves trees. We need it as part of the circle of life. Get yourself a panda. Ooh, that'd be cool. If it's bamboo maze, you have to get some pandas in. Are you farming food? We are not at the moment. Back when I lived here, we had chickens. I had a pineapple patch. We had a what's that thing called? Banana trees with little tiny bananas, little monkey finger bananas. And what else? We had an almond tree, which has unfortunately died. We used to sort of do that kind of thing, but not these days, because the island's been too flooded with salt water, and it's going to take a long time for the soil to kind of recover from that. And so we're getting there. Anyway, I can hear the buzzing of a boat, and Pickle is on her feet, she's just moved. Actually, she's not on her feet anymore. She's just moved because I think she can sense that Ishmael is on his way back to the island with the stuff that we needed. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just someone going past. I don't know. But she's having a nice... Oh, it's someone just going past. Yeah, sorry, girl. I thought it was Ishmael as well. But it wasn't. Maybe the lens is dirty and that's why it keeps on not doing what it's supposed to do. That's lovely though, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that view. Look at that dog looking out over the view. That's lovely, isn't it? Anyway, listen. Even if you do get bitten by insects a lot, you can just put like DEET on or whatever the fuck it's called. The anti-insect stuff does work quite well. And also, top tip. Do you know another reason why I don't really get bitten? What is there of me to bite? My face, not my head because I'm wearing a hat. My arms, my neck, and that's it. Everything else is always covered. Never wear shorts. Never wear fucking sandals with my feet out. Just never wear Crocs, obvs. Yeah, I've always got socks on. I've always got shoes on. Normally, I've taken my shoes off because I'm on the hammock, but it'd be rude to have my shoes on in the hammock. But my trainees, where are my trainees are just here. Do you know what I mean? They cover my entire feet. What are you gonna bite? What are you gonna bite? Mofos! Because if they bite me here, I can see them. Get off. Whereas if they sort of bite you on your ankles, you don't necessarily see it. Just get itchy. My ankle's so itchy. So there you go. You can make your life a little bit easier if you want to. I read that damn Aussies are evolving immunity to DEET. Yeah, they are. Incomplete genocide. If you wipe them all out, then you don't have to worry about it. But we didn't wipe them all out. We wiped out most of them in places like Sri Lanka. We wiped out 99% of the malaria-carrying mosquitoes. And don't forget, not all mosquitoes carry malaria. And not even all the mosquitoes that can carry malaria because only the females do. They're the ones that don't make a noise. So if you hear a mosquito, it's not going to be the one that gives you malaria. But yeah, they wiped malaria out in Europe and other places, and in America, in the southern states of America, they wiped out malaria, and then they in the 1960s, and then they wiped out a lot of it in the developing world, and then they stopped. 99% done. They went out, that'll do. And the 1% of mosquitoes that were left in Sri Lanka and other countries, double hard bastards that had natural immunity to things like DEET. Ireland looks lovely, very jealous. Oh, thanks. My mum is one of the Jinja Island alumni. She's been here, I hope my mum can come back at some point in the future, but we will see. Lol, I'm autistic, so Graham talks so much like me, says Alex French. Hey all, it's Pirates, fire up broadside. Pineapple, good for pizza and stuffing gammon. 1950s pandas are in black and white, that is very true. Real red pandas, not high contrast baboo bears, lol. Be careful, they don't breed too much or you'll have a pandemic. Very good, Andy, I like that. The child in me would love you to design the cabin that Donkey Kong Country themed with big fake yellow bananas lying around, big red DK rug in the middle of the floor. Well, when I first got this place, I had this idea that I was going to build a hatch with like the numbers on from Lost, 4-8. Shit, what are the numbers from Lost? See, this is how old I'm getting now. Kind of forgetting. 4-8, 23, 40. I can't remember now. Bloody hell. The winning lottery numbers: 4, 8, 16, 17, 23, 42. There you go. The winning lottery numbers in Lost that were etched on the hatch that they found at the end of season 1. Numbers of evil. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for the super chats this morning. We've raised £4 for the Ginger Islands Retirement Fund, so thank you so much for that to everyone who chipped in. And I will be back later today with just some footage of me doing something around the island, or maybe Ishmael, if he doesn't mind. And then I'll be back in the evening. We'll be out here on the boat dock for the midnight mass. The Midnight Massacre. So if you'd like to join me for that, very, very late, if you've, got insomnia or you've got a night job or something, or you can watch it in the morning and catch up. I don't mind. But what time, please, says Sarah Davis. I have no clue, Sarah. I have no clue whatsoever what time I'm going to go live, because I just don't know what's going to happen next. Sorry, I don't live a very structured life. It is all a little bit ad hoc. I think that if you had to describe me in 5 letters, I think ad hoc would be the best way to describe me. So what you need to do is, well, I know you're already subscribed, so that's awesome, but you also need to hit the bell notification icon and enable notifications I keep forgetting to tell people this. You need to enable notifications on your phone from YouTube. Otherwise, you will not get a ping in your pocket to let you know, a buzz in your pants to let you know that I'm going live. So yeah, it'll be sometime later today. So, who won the Grand Prix? Is one angry pagan there? Who won the Grand Prix? I didn't look at that before I came on. What's wrong with wearing shorts? Says David Faulkner for a super chat. Yay! Thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. That's really kind. Very kind. Thank you for the 15 Hong Kongian dollars. That's amazing. Thank you. Super chat. What's wrong with wearing shorts? You get your legs bitten. That's what's wrong with wearing shorts. That's it. And I get sunburned. I get sunburned on my legs, back of my legs. You know, behind your knee, back of your knee. When that gets fucking burnt. Oh, mate, no. Just every time you bend your legs, every time you walk. Oh, I hate getting sunburned. So yeah, don't like wearing sunscreen because it's greasy and horrible. Like everything's it's like greasy but sticky and greasy and so I don't like that, and I don't like getting bitten. So there you go. You'll find that when you travel around the world, the local people very rarely wear shorts. No matter where you are, it's only the tourists that wear shorts. So if you want everyone to know you're a tourist, please wear shorts. I do wear shorts if I swim. Unless I'm swimming in France, and then I'm not swimming because they don't let you swim in shorts. You've got to wear speedos. You've got to wear speedos if you want to swim in a public pool in France. It's fucking crazy. They don't let you wear swim shorts, even proper swim shorts. You know, with the the inside in them, the net in them inside. You're not allowed to wear them. Fucking crazy. But you should never wear speedos in Ukraine, obviously, because Chernobyl for that. But in France, you have to wear them. Although in France, you can never have more than one egg for breakfast. Because in French, one egg is enough. Short wearing incites croc wearing, horrific. Absolutely, mate. I couldn't agree more. You know, when I did Movie Room 101, the first thing I put in there was crocs. So you have to wear budgie smugglers instead. You do have to smuggle your budgies. Yeah, not Verstappen, lol, says Andrew in the question of who won the Grand Prix. So it was Mercedes 1-2. Hamilton came fourth. Norris fifth. Oscar crashed before the start. So it's George Russell in the Mercedes. I've not heard of George Russell before. That'll be a name to look out for. Okay, that's it. I'm off. Did you hear about the reason for popularity of the film Idiocracy? I don't know if that's why it was popular. I think that's why they used it in Idiocracy, because they thought they needed something that looked ridiculous. So everyone in the film Idiocracy wears Crocs. True story. Okay, I'm off. George Russell is great. How do you crash before you start? I don't know. Maybe you're having some you know, like when you're going out with your mates, but you haven't got much money, so you have a few pre-drinks, you know, like before you go out, you have some pre-drinks, right? And then you fall asleep, and then you realise that you should have gone out and partied, but you fell asleep. Maybe that's what happened. Is that the same as crashing? I don't know, something like that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to leave you with the beautiful view of out over the water. The water's a little bit more choppy now than it was, but I'll leave you with this, and until I see you again, say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats, and hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Doggy looking out over the water.